Hey everyone, this is Big Guy DIY Robert. Remember last year I had installed a Garmin 52, a Nuvi 52 GPS on my GSX Skidoo. It's a 2012. Let me turn the camera around so you can get an idea what it looks like. This is the unit here I installed last year, and it was all right. It wasn't a wow factor by any means, and it's because of the unit, not because of the setup itself. With this unit, though it takes an SD card on the side, it does not read the SD card in regards to additional maps, and that was a problem right there. I had to plug this into the computer using an HDMI cable, transfer the maps from the micro SD card into the hard drive of the Garmin, and then disconnect the Garmin maps, which would be all your road maps, and set it to read the snowmobile maps. So it really didn't give me the roads. When I would come across a road, it would not give me the road that I was crossing, though it was just showing me the trail. And that was kind of frustrating, because sometimes I'd like to know where I'm at when I'm crossing. So this season I bit the bullet and I purchased a refurbished Zumo. I think this is a 6, I forgot what this was. I'm sorry. I'll place it on the screen for which model it is. But the Zumo is built specifically for outside, for motorcycles, ATVs, UTVs. It is waterproof, and it also takes an SD card, and so it will take off-road maps, and you can have that overlay your road maps. So I purchased this on eBay. So it came with the RAM mounts for a motorcycle, which is fine. I'm not going to use two of the RAM mounts because I already have them installed on my Garmin. What I just need is this one special RAM mount that will attach to a very different power source. As we can look at this unit splits up into 4 cables. Okay, that's how the Zumo goes. And each cable has a different function for what it's used for in regards to, say, communication or audio. This one says audio out. This one's for microphone. This one here I know is for uploading. And then this is your power cord. So compared to the 52 Nuvi, or Nuvi 52, I'm going to have to redo this mount in order for this to work. This mount here will have to come off, which is pretty simple. It's just a simple ball in the back. That'll just come out, and then the new one will go in place of this, and that'll have a ball on the back of this, and it'll install on there. Now when I'm not using this, so you can see there's exposed contacts right there. It comes with a cover. Okay, so I can close that right up and keep the snow element off it. I don't have any problem. The other thing I have to do is I have to change the wiring to this. Originally I had it going into the socket, from the socket to my switch, and from the switch to the battery. So this way I can turn the system on and off from my switch, and when it's on, it is backlit. So I've decided to change that. I'm going to go from here in, and I'm going to splice into this, which means the 12-volt socket here will continue to work, but it'll only work when this is on. Okay, so both will be drawing from the battery. So I could actually charge my phone from that if I wanted to. Most likely I will not, but that's the way I'm going to do the setup. So I'm going to record swapping this out. Have to separate my wiring from it. I had it zip tied on. That's all I have to remove. Here I took the old mount off. This is the new mount, which has to be through bolted to this. And it doesn't come in with any hardware. See what I have. Whenever I'm working with equipment that has to be outdoors in bad elements such as salt spray, or even in the marine industry such as salt water, I try to use as often as possible stainless steel hardware, because then I know it's not going to rust immediately. So I'm hoping these are long enough. As you can see, it's countersunk. So what I'm going to do, since it's countersunk, I'm going to put the screw head on this side. The longer screw can't stick out this way because the unit attaches here. So that's why it's countersunk. On the back side, it doesn't matter if the screw's a little long or not. But I have them where I got maybe 2 or 3 threads sticking out. I'm hoping that's long enough. If not, then I gotta find 4 that are. Okay, you can see the lengths here. They're flush. So these are not what they call nylock nuts, which means they don't lock themselves on, and I didn't use any lock washers. So Murphy's Law is these will come loose. So I'm going to show you something, what you can do to prevent that. You get any kind of silicone, okay? This is shoe goo, just repair shoes. It's pretty sticky, but this is a good product. It's quite versatile. Just put a drop on the back side of these nuts. Okay, can you see that? So the shoe goo is going to stick to the bolt and a nut and not allow these to back off. So that's how you prevent from losing your nuts. Let me show you how this unit attaches. Like so, and it's a button on top to release it, like that. So we're going to go install this onto the ram mount. Let's see, I got to remember I got the button on the top. This has to go in a specific way. In regards to theft, this ram mount has a special locking knob, so no one's going to be able to unscrew this and take it. They'd have to take my entire windshield. So that's been replaced. So next, what I have to do is install the wire, have it go into the dash, and then all this extra cable I'm going to have raveled up inside the dash versus outside. So it's a cleaner install. Okay, in boating, when we're installing wires that'll go through a hull or top of a dash or anything like that, we usually use something called a clamshell. Okay, so the way a clamshell works is you have the opening, oops, there we go. You'd have the opening facing downward because then the water would run off. I don't know if this will stay. Of course not. Let's do this. Say that was installed. You'd have this aiming up until the water runs down off of this and doesn't collect inside here. Your wiring would go inside here, and then you'd fill this up with silicone. This is the same type of idea. It's also a clamshell. This is usually comes with when you buy fish finders, chart plotters, anything like that, where you're running the wiring through the transom of the boat. You cut the back part of this plastic here to the size wire that you're going to be coming in with. Alright, and usually your hole is the same size as this lip. So I think it's a 1/2 inch hole. That way the wire is large enough to go through. On mine, now that I look at that, I got all this wire here. And here's the problem. Look at the size of that compared to the size of this. Alright. So plan A is out. Now I gotta come up with a plan B. That's a large block. I'm thinking as I'm looking here, sorry about the light, I'm thinking is how I'm coming into this. This here is my wind deflector. You can't drill that, you gotta drill up here. We're back. So as you can see, I uninstalled the windscreen, sitting over there. Here's two screws, one here on this winglet and then one on the other winglet. And then the screen just pops out. It's just these rubber grommets that hold these windshields in. And I didn't want to drill a hole on the top. I didn't want to drill a hole here. I was trying to find the best way to do it. And these are vent holes on the windscreen. I can cut this vent hole here downward, and I can fit everything right through that hole. And then what I'm going to do is create a slot up here for the wiring to come up to the top of this. Then I'm going to modify this clam. I'm going to get rid of this lip. And I'm not going to cut the front of this out. That's going to sit right here and cover the slot that I got going up when the wire comes out. Actually, I have to cut it so the wire comes out. Go this way. Yeah, it'll have to sit that way. I will have to cut this face the size of the wire so the wire comes out of here, then right to the mount, which is right here. So let me start on this, and each step I'll take, I'll show you a close-up. All right. Okay. What I took was just a regular utility knife. This is a very soft plastic. I cut down here, then I cut up. So the reason I cut up is so my wire comes up like so. All right. The reason I cut down is this here has to fit into here, and I got to do one wire at a time. So remember, I got 4 wires I got to pull through this hole. Everything is not small. So I'm going to start with the widest one. Yes, I also pulled my cluster, my gauge cluster out too. guessing roughly how much wire I need to have sticking out. Now you can see how the wire is going to work. So the windshield can still sit flat. I still have the wire coming out. So next, I'm going to cut that little clamshell to fit over this. And it'll seal up this hole. All right. Okay. So I'll let you look at the clam here. What I did, as you can see, I cut the back off so that lip is gone. Oh, frick. It's hard to work when you have fingers the size of hot dogs. So as you can see, I cut the back off. Then the underside, I cut where the wire is going to come out. So how this is going to work is this is going to get screwed on just like that. So the windshield will still be able to close. We'll still be able to install because it's going to be flush mounted. I'm just going to screw that in. I'm not going to seal it. There's no reason for that. Screws I'm using are black screws, so keep the color consistent. And there you go, installed. So that's how my wiring is going to come in. So let me reinstall the windscreen. You see how that sits flush? And there you go. Wiring installed. Well, at least through the sled. So let me finish putting everything back together. And there we go. All back together. All I have to do is run my wire, reattach it to here, and I'll be back in business. Now the Zumo does have a battery in it, and it's designed for, you know, the elements. So even if I lose power somehow or for whatever reason, the Zumo will still work. I think I get like 4 or 5 hours out of one charge in the battery. But I'll show you my wiring once I have it all reinstalled and how I did it. Alright, but again, that's how you can do the wiring for a Zumo. As you recall, my wiring, so it goes into the dash. I had it in here, snaked it underneath the panel. is where it comes out. The power wire, I have it zip tied all the way down here. Here's my power. Okay. What I did is I started my zip ties here and I worked my way backwards up to this point. Let's do this. So I started my zip ties down here and worked my way backwards, securing the wire all the way up. What I'm going to do here is, this is the original power wire that is powering the switch to the 12 volt. I was going to tap into that and I decided not to. I'm going to go straight to the battery instead. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this wire and splice into it and use what they call shrink tubing, which I'll show you that once I do it. The ground wire here, I'm going to lengthen it and it's going to go down to here. That's my ground. So I'll have that come up over the top and then down here. Yeah, so it's not against this side. That way at least I can secure it somehow from wobbling around and coming down here. We are attached. I changed my mind again. I thought if I ever have to change the wiring that I was talking about splicing into here, which went to the switch, if I have to change my mind, it means I have to cut this wiring again. So what I did was I just grabbed the new ring terminal. I'll show you what a ring terminal looks like. I grabbed the new ring terminal, which this is a ring terminal, and installed it here. Oops. Installed it here. This is where the positive side of the battery goes to. I removed the battery so I could work with this. So while I was installing that, I noticed down here you can see that that's a grounding bolt. That's a wiring that goes right to the frame for grounding. So I decided to run the negative side from the wire harness down into the protective casing here for that grounding wire, and then again I did another ring terminal here, and so I'm now grounded right there. Each of my connections do have shrink tubing on it. As you can see right here, I installed that, as well as here. This wire I did have to extend right here, and that's using what I call a butt connector, and it's a shrink wrapping butt connector. Okay, what you need to shrink this is either a small micro torch like this or a heat gun, and then these ends here will shrink and then seal the wire inside, so the wire will not get damaged by any water, salt, or any other outdoor moisture. Okay, you can get these at any automotive store. I live with these things. I use these all on my trailers. I use them on all the boats I work on, and obviously I use them on my snowmobiles. I also use them on my automobiles. That way it's sealed up. So there we go. We are now installed for the Zumo. The Zumo model, by the way, I looked it up, was a 665. Because I think they got 3 different models out there. So, lights are a little bright. Go this way. I hope that helped everyone out, give you an idea how to install a Zumo Garmin onto your snowmobile. And any questions or comments, leave them down below and I'll do my best to answer them. Give me a thumbs up if this helped. All right? Thanks. Have a good one.